Hi there, my name's Dan Masters, and today I want to give you some tips and techniques to help you focus on innovation. Or if you prefer, I want to help you channel your innovation. Either way, let's move on to look at some simple tactics to help overcoming barriers to making progress. Remember, everything you see here is just a theory until you put it into practice back in the real world. So, in 3 or 4 minutes' time, I'd like you to be thinking about how you can apply this in your world and take some big strides towards becoming an innovation ninja. So firstly, I'd like to look at establishing scope. This is really about taking a pragmatic view of issues by considering them from different perspectives. Have you ever had an issue that turned out to be something completely different to your assumptions or initial prognosis? Maybe it was even bigger or smaller than you thought. Maybe it was more than one problem. Maybe somebody else even considered it an opportunity. This is why it's really important to establish what we call the scope of the problem. We do this by describing the problem in different ways, which in turn provides more clarity about potential solutions and outcomes. Let's take an example that could be true in your world. I want my business to make more money. Statements like these are often the starting point of resolving issues, but arguably this one is ill-defined. Somebody once said, "Is it a cloud or is it a sheep?" Either way, it's cloudy or woolly. So we need to focus our attention on some detail here if we want liftoff. Some generic or specific questions are probably now naturally occurring to you in order to try and solve our problem. My advice is that problem statements are much more effective if they begin with how or why. The why questions provide an insight into the motivation behind a statement, what the current thinking, process or situation is, and also a rationale as to existing assumptions or decisions. For instance, why is it important to you to make more money? Why is it about making more money as opposed to reducing costs? And why is this important now? Once you've established the whys, we can start to consider the specifics of what needs to be done and by whom to overcome the problem or issue. At this point, resist the temptation to unleash your problem-solving prowess. It's too soon. We've got some more things to find out first, and we're going to use a different starting point. So how questions help you to establish more detail and also help you understand the parameters of the problem. The answers to these questions, coupled with your existing knowledge and expertise, would lead you to the promised land of a problem solved. You may also rely on your ability to think laterally and to bring in other expertise, but at the very least you'll have the intel you need to arrive at the solution. Cool. So now that you've got your scope established, I'd like to give you some food for thought around question setting. These techniques will help you to explore an issue by phrasing appropriate and powerful questions. Okay, so let's start with broaden and narrow. Here you'll consider your current situation, then look at the problem from a broader perspective. Are there any broader benefits that flow from using resources and effort to tackle your specific problem? If the problem feels too big, look at what might stop you resolving the current problem and consider how these narrower issues might benefit. Great, so let's now focus briefly on wording. I can make this really simple. Remember that generic wording can help you identify solutions outside of the norm. Specific wording will often lead to more solution-led outcomes. My advice here is to use both of these types of question to ensure that you don't miss out on any winning ideas. Finally, let's not forget, everything we've covered here is about establishing the right starting points for overcoming the issue. This should be more than one, and I'd recommend to try and get 6 to fully understand where the potential solutions may lie. Once again, resist the temptation to solve the problem just yet. You're still establishing options for direction of travel. Also, let's not forget that your issue could be more than one problem, so asking the right questions is the key to unlocking the best solution. Well, that's all for this video. To recap then, the why questions help provide context and direction of travel. The how questions provide the detail and the milestones along the way. Make sure you ask questions that will both broaden and narrow your field of vision, and be clever with your use of generic and specific wording. My advice is to put this into practice as soon as you can. Good luck in the real world.